As you can see, it's underlined. I will not be right back after this message. We are at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park and Mortuary. And do you see all these buildings? It's like insane, right? And there's a cemetery right here in the middle. And I'm going to tell you something. This is the cemetery where Marilyn Monroe is buried. But this is probably, if you ask me, the most famous cemetery in the world. Now let's start right here. That is Don Knotts. And as you saw, Don died in 2006. But this cemetery is full of celebrities. And it is very small, as you can see. And there's actually a memorial going on. And that building right there, where the memorial is going on, that's where Marilyn Monroe's body, her casket, would have been kept. But this cemetery, as small as it is, and you can see how small it is, pound for pound, is without a doubt the most insane amount of famous celebrities and everything else. Now look, we just walked in and we saw Don Knotts, who, if you recall, is, Mayberry, and he did all those comedies. But look at this right here. Here is Truman Capote, and you might have saw that movie, and he was a famous writer. And then right buried with him is Joan Carson, which is Johnny Carson's wife. Right here you have Jackie Collins, but look at right here. That is Heather O'Rourke, and it tells you right there, she's Carol Ann from Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3, and she died before they really could finish filming part 3. And there she is right there. Died in 1988. Everybody remembers that movie, Poltergeist. So we just walked in, and there's Heather O'Rourke, and Truman Capote, and Don Knotts. And then right here, Riley. And look who is right here. This is like a who's who. There's Mel Torme. And you can look all these people up online. Okay. Like I said, it's who's who. And it's a small cemetery, actually. And it's just chock full. And let me give you some of the names of people that are buried here. It's absolutely crazy. As you can see in here, they would be slid in. And I know that, and I don't have a map, and I don't know where any of these people are buried. I know they're in here. Dean Martin, he is in one of these kinds of cubby holes here, But getting back to Marilyn Monroe, Marilyn Monroe was buried here by the famous baseball player, Joe DiMaggio. He's the one who set it all up, and he's the one who put her here, and he also paid for flowers to be dropped off here. Yeah, I think it was like every month. He paid in perpetuity. He was absolutely in love with her, and obviously they got divorced. There was some domestic violence. He got really upset about the scene with where her dress blew up over there in New York, and supposedly hit her, and they got divorced. And but right before her death, they got back together, or we're at least talking about getting back together. And so we're gonna roam around here.
Hugh Hefner's buried next to her.
Yes, I know. And we're gonna roam around here. We're just gonna take a look in this cemetery. And I will tell you, it's like the most beautiful cemetery you have ever seen.
Not that beautiful.
Well, it's really beautiful. And it's very expensive to be buried here. Sylvester Stallone has his family plot here, so I'm assuming he will end up here, even though he no longer lives in Los Angeles. His son died, and his son is buried over there. He's buried in a very, very ritzy little area over there, and we'll head on over there. That's where Rodney Dangerfield is also buried. And I know a lot of people have come to this cemetery, and I'm in Los Angeles. I wanted to come over here. I've been here before. For those who don't know, obviously I'm into Halloween, but I like cemeteries. I'm fascinated by death and all these things. And then here you go, check this out. Here's the bench in remembrance of Marilyn Monroe from her many fans. And here she is, right here. And it was recently her birthday. And look at all of the flowers. It's kind of crazy.
Hugh Hefner's right there.
Yeah, and this guy right here, and I'm sure you've heard this story, he's buried in his casket upside down. So he wanted to, say that he was always on top of Marilyn Monroe. His wife tried to sell this plot for money, and then I think she died, and so he's probably going to stay there forever. And then here's Hugh Hefner, which is kind of, he wanted to be buried next to her. He paid a lot of money for this vault. And, he really became famous from having Marilyn Monroe appear in his first Playboy magazine. And there she is. And for all of those out there that wonder, what happened to Marilyn Monroe, me personally, I think she was killed by the Kennedys. Very trying times with the Cuban Missile Crisis, the things going on with Russia. And, she had affairs with both both brothers. And there is a place where she would meet them over on the beach. Her last photo shoot ever was like right outside of that secret bungalow. And there she is, Marilyn Monroe. And you see the coloration difference is because everybody wants to touch it, kiss it, and the oils from your fingers, get into it, and that's what happens. And there's Marilyn Monroe. I'll tell you one other quick fact about Marilyn Monroe here. Her house is only like 2-3 miles from here. The house where she died is it's really close. Very close. And she just celebrated her birthday. And these plots right here are available, believe it or not. And there's the bench for Marilyn Monroe. Just celebrated her birthday one more time. And there's where she was laid to rest. You can go on YouTube and you can watch. There's like a video where somebody looks inside of the vault, and you can see and there's Hugh Hefner right here, and you can see the vault. You can see the hearse pulling in here, and there's so many stories about Marilyn Monroe, about preparing her and everything else. But she stayed right here, over there in that building. Right there is where her service was. Anyway, it's pretty amazing if you ask me. And we're going to try to check out some other famous crypts right here in Pierce Brothers. And let's see if we can find some. But the Marilyn Monroe one is probably the most sought after grave, most visited grave in all of Los Angeles, maybe even all of the world. And there's a lot of people in here. Looks like these are from a crematorium. You've been cremated. Let's go over some of the people that I know are buried here. And there's one in particular that I would like to find because I'm from St. Louis, and the owner of the St. Louis Rams is buried here. And her name was Georgia Frontenaire. And she is buried here. And we from St. Louis thank her for bringing the Rams to St. Louis. And but here's just some of the people that are buried here. Whoops, let me get off here. You have Marilyn Monroe, obviously. And I'm not sure where Dean Martin is, but he's in here. And I want to say it was in like one of these. I know it's in one of these like spots. But we're doing the video a little different. I know like most people will just like make the video and then edit it. I'm just walking through and you're just walking with me. And we're just kind of checking it all out. Like I said, they had a service here today. But some of the people who are buried here is Eddie Albert. And if you don't know who Eddie Albert is, he was at one of my favorite shows as a kid, Green Acres. But he was also in a horror movie. And you know what horror movie that was? It was Devil's Reign. And if you've never seen Devil's Reign, it's a really fun movie. And I'm just kind of looking for Dean Martin. There he is. Dean Martin. I knew that he was in here somewhere. And there's Dean Martin. One of the Rat Pack, oddly enough, tied very closely to Marilyn Monroe. Not Dean Martin's per se, but Peter Lawford is said to have played a role and be the last person who ever talked to Marilyn Monroe, but played a role in possibly her death. That is the speculation. And Peter Lawford supposedly talked to Marilyn Monroe, was the last person to talk to Marilyn Monroe before she died. And he was part of the Rat Pack with Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and so on and so forth. But let me just kind of give you a list of some of the people buried here. And we're going to try to find, not all, but some of these my favorite movie stars, celebrities, comedians that have been interned here at Pierce Brothers. And you know, one more time, let me just say that this place is like hidden. You can barely find it. It's like between a bunch of buildings. Now there's a ton of famous people buried out here, including Roy Orbison, who has no marker. So nobody actually knows where he is, although they speculate where he's at. This section looks new. Very new, in fact. And it looks like there's a lot of openings. Now you could call this place during the day, and you could ask them how much it is to be buried right out in front of Marilyn Monroe. They'll tell you. It's 6 figures plus. I mean, it could be 7 figures. I'm not sure, but it's a lot of money. They want a lot of money. And let's just kind of stroll over to this section right here. This is where most of the famous people buried in this cemetery are buried. This right here says private, no tourists, please. Now, one person who's buried here is Farrah Fawcett. And I want to say Georgia Frontenaire was somewhere right over here. But I'm not 100%. But she is here. She was the owner of the St. Louis Rams / Los Angeles Rams. There she is, right there. Georgia Frontenaire, you continue to shine a light for our family and friends. You are forever in our hearts. And look at that, there's like a light here. Now, don't you wish there was like a doorbell and she'd answer? Bring the Rams back to St. Louis. And do you know who that is right there? That looks like Tim Conway. I guess his real name was Thomas Daniel Conway, and he is a famous comedian, and he's buried right there. And St. Louis, right there, is Georgia Frontier. That's where she's buried, right next to Tim Conway, who brought the Rams to St. Louis. She never took the Rams out of St. Louis. That was Stan Kroenke. But she's from Los Angeles, and she's buried right here in Pierce Brothers Cemetery, right around the corner from Marilyn Monroe, who is buried right there, right in front of us. And Dean Martin is right over there. That's where Georgia Frontier is buried, in this beautiful private cemetery. So as we make our way around, we want to get over here where Rodney Dangerfield is. And look who that is right there. Raleigh, do you know who that is?
No.
That is Walter Matthau, who is famous from The Odd Couple, right? Did a lot of movies with Jack Lemmon. One of my favorite baseball movies of all time is Bad News Bears. He was in the Bad News Bears. Yep. And he is buried right there. And let's head on in here, because I believe this is where we will find. It's so beautiful in here. It's so quiet. But there's just so many people that are buried in here. And it seems like in the past you were able to get back there where Farrah Fawcett is buried, because I believe that she's either right up here or she's right behind me, but she is here. And Farrah Fawcett died from cancer. She documented her struggle and her fight against cancer on a reality show. I don't know if I guess it's a reality show, right? And it took her life. And instead of being completely and getting, deservedly getting a lot of press for her passing, it was overshadowed by Michael Jackson. And there she is right there, Farrah Fawcett. She died on the same day as Michael Jackson, which was unexpected. Farrah Fawcett was kind of expected. And here's Merv Griffin. And if you remember the Merv Griffin show, it's like, I'll be right back. He says, I will not. And it's, as you can see, it's underlined. I will not be right back after this message. He coined that famous phrase, I'll be right back after this message. I will not be back. And there's Farrah Fawcett, who didn't have her poster on their wall. And if you're not familiar, she was also in a really cool sci-fi-ish movie called Saturn 9, I think. And here's Rodney Dangerfield. And just real quick on Farrah Fawcett, she was also in Charlie's Angels. And she was in another favorite movie of mine that I would love to see remade. And that is Logan's Run. She had a small role in Logan's Run. Now look at this one right here. Rodney Dangerfield, There Goes the Neighborhood. He's funny even in death. And you got to give it to him. And then if we make our way around over here, we are going to find, not over here. Here is Jack Lemmon. Right there. And his partner in crime is right over there. Walter Matthau's right over there. And you could see him in Grumpy Old Men And he also did a movie with Marilyn Monroe. And he's here, and she's right over there. Now, for those who don't know, this is Carol O'Connor, better known as Archie, the racist TV show. Billy Wilder, he was a writer of a lot of famous movies. And then there's Peter Falk. Who can forget Peter Falk and all of his incredible TV shows? He was in a really popular detective show. And they're all right here. Sylvester Stallone has a plot here, and his son is buried here. And I want to say it's over here. I'm pretty sure it's like right over here. Look how beautiful this whole place is. Absolutely beautiful. And I don't know why certain cemeteries, like where Michael Jackson's buried, for example, and you can't get to Lon Chaney, for example, because he's in a private area. I mean, he died over 100 years ago. I mean, like, I don't know, right around 100 years ago, 90 years ago, whatever. And here's Sage Stallone, right here. He was in Rocky V with his father, and he passed away. And he is buried right here. And then you can see that there's an opening over here, and there's an opening here, and there's an opening here. So my thought is that this is where Sylvester Stallone and his family will be buried. And I want to say, and I'm not 100%, that this is where Walt Disney's ashes were scattered, but I'm not sure. But this is a beautiful, beautiful cemetery. Now we're gonna like travel into the center of this cemetery, and but you know what's really interesting here is that chapel's open. And that is the chapel where Marilyn Monroe had her service, right there. Hello.
Hi.
Isn't this where Marilyn Monroe had her service?
She was the very first service in here.
Very first service? And so she would have been right there at the front.
But they redid it, so beforehand it was all like old school, like wood and like natural stone, but they redid it maybe like 6 years ago.
Oh, but this outside's all the same.
Yeah, it's considered a landmark.
Oh, can I see it?
Yeah.
And here it is.
Service though, so it's a little messy.
And this is where, you know, all the people who came to pay their last respects to Marilyn Monroe, and her casket would have been up there in the front. Right? And what other celebrities have actually had their service in here?
Wolfgang Peterson, he directed, what was that? It was Outbreak. He did The Never Ending Story. He's buried over here now. We've had, like, we haven't had like any actual like big services. We just have like the viewings here, so people who literally like they have their loved one in
So this
home.
is private.
Yeah, for the most part it's private.
Do you work for Pierce Brothers?
I do.
So let me ask you a question, because we're doing a video for where Marilyn Monroe is buried. There's empty plot right in front of it. How much is that plot?
Probably about $1 million.
$1 million?
Like, you can always inquire, like it's free to just go in and ask, you know, because we're always trying to like sell or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, the standard price for that area is like $1 million.
Where is there's a couple graves in here where, like, Roy Orbison, where is he?
He's unmarked, so I'm not sure. Same thing with Frank Zappa. His family requested that he be unmarked.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure the exact location. People usually, they show on the videos like, oh, this is where he is, but like from what I hear, it's not there. I don't even think my actual work knows exactly.
Now, Sylvester Stallone's son is buried over here. Is he planning on having his whole family buried over
I
there?
don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so.
Just his son?
Reeves' baby is here as well as his girlfriend.
Who?
Keanu Reeves. So they're buried somewhere over there by where.
Oh, Keanu Reeves. Where are they buried?
They're around the area where I believe Carl Wilson is.
Where?
I forgot what her name is. I'll show you real quick.
They died in a car wreck.
Yeah.
What about Natalie Wood? Where is she?
She's somewhere around this tree that's straight ahead by where that black van is.
Now, you know, there's another person in here that I would love to find out where they're at. Coscarelli.
I have never heard that name.
That is Don Coscarelli, who directed a movie called Phantasm. That's his mother. And she was the producer of Phantasm.
I've never seen that last name.
Who was the last celebrity that got put in here?
Wolfgang Peterson. Because a lot of, yeah, here they are. Ava Archer and Jennifer Maria.
Holy cow. Somebody left some stuff for him.
Mm-hmm. So that was his baby and that was the girlfriend.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. Where is, I know there's so many in here, but isn't Ava,
Ava Freeze?
Ava Gabor?
Oh, Gaber. I don't know. I know, like, I find them randomly, but I'm not sure where she is.
Who's in these locked crypts?
I know Dean Martin is in this one straight ahead.
Yeah. I'm talking about like where the green patina.
Oh, those I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure. I know that the Hammer one is over there.
You have Georgia Frontenaire over there.
Yeah.
She was the owner of the Rams.
Yeah, there's a bunch of random people scattered, but on a weekday before 4:30 p.m., if you wanted to go into the office and ask where they're buried, our receptionist can give you the plot.
How many more plots are available in here?
Not many.
Not many?
Not many.
Huh.
As far as like maybe like this area, probably like at least 13. But most people nowadays are getting cremated. We have more space for that. We do burials. We don't really do many
Was
burials.
Walt Disney ashes put into the cemetery?
No.
No?
He is, I forgot what his forest or Hollywood? No, I don't remember.
And you said Natalie Wood's over there?
Yeah, I think she's somewhere in front of that bigger tree.
Where's Bob Crane?
I don't know where Bob.
Do you know who Bob Crane is?
I know the name, but I don't know. I'm too young to be on.
What about Richard Dawson?
I don't.
Where's Florence Henderson?
Right over here.
Raleigh, Florence Henderson from the Brady Bunch. I had a crush on her when I was a kid.
Right on that pillar right there. That's by the rails.
She's.
The very bottom one.
Oh, I see it. So
Yeah.
that means she was cremated.
Yeah. So these are all cremations except for this green bed right here, and these green beds over here.
Where's Peter Lawford?
I don't know who that is.
He was part of the Rat Pack.
I don't know where he's buried.
Last person to ever talk to Marilyn Monroe. What about Betty Page?
Betty Page, I am not sure, but I have to go back to work.
All right. Hey, well, thanks for all your help.
You can look them up on Google. Most of them are on there.
Okay, thank you. So let's walk over here. And by the way, I want to thank her, how nice she was. And here is Florence Henderson, who, it says, beloved mother of four, cherished mom to millions, forever in the hearts of her family, friends, and fans. So she was cremated, and she's right there. Riley, the Brady Bunch, that's the mom.
I've never seen it.
I had the biggest crush on her. And by the way, some of the other celebrities, we've almost found them all, to be honest with you. Riley, look on, there's a website called Find a Grave. Look up Kate Coscarelli. We got to find out where that is. But right now, we're going to go try our best to find Natalie Wood while Riley looks up this name right here, Kate Coscarelli. And let me tell you who Kate Coscarelli is. And of all the videos that have ever been done here, I doubt anyone has ever said, let's go to the grave of Kate Coscarelli. One of my favorite movies of all time is Phantasm. And she is the mother of Don Coscarelli. And I just happen to be friends with, I knew Reggie really well. I know he's not in good health right now. And I was friends with the tall man, Angus Scrim. I used to talk to him all the time. Nicest guy you like literally have ever talked to. And they said Natalie Wood. There he is. You see how easy it is to find people in here? There's Bob Crane. And for those who don't know, Bob Crane was murdered in 1978. He was murdered. And he was into filming porn and some other things. And unfortunately, the person who probably did it got away with it. Here, oh my goodness, there it is. Kate Coscarelli. Hey, find Natalie Wood. Kate Coscarelli says, nurturing wife, mother, grandmother. She lived with honesty, integrity, and love. Forever loved. She lives in our hearts. Once again, she worked in the movie industry, and her son is Don Coscarelli, who made the movie Phantasm.
Why was she buried in St. Louis?
She was born in St. Louis.
And why is she buried there?
I don't know. Because her son lives in California, my assumption. But Kate Coscarelli helped make Phantasm. So for all you horror fans,
I found the other one.
that is an important piece of horror right there. We want to pay our respects to her. And if Don Coscarelli's listening, hey, we love your movies, Phantasm. One of these days I gotta find where Angus Scrimm is buried. He's one of my favorite horror characters of all time. You know what's really weird about this cemetery? Like, look how the crypts are going this way, then this way. There is Eddie Albert. We just found another one. Eddie Albert was from Green Acres. And like as I said, he did a lot of movies and TV shows, but I love the movie Devil's Reign. But if you remember Arnold the Pig and Green Acres, Ava Gabor, that's who Eddie Albert is. It looks like he was a World War II veteran, or he was either in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, because he's got a flag. And you can see the ones that have flags, because Memorial Day just happened. So these people have been in the military. And here is Natalie Wood. And you know, I kind of did this on purpose. So you see this marker here. Here's where Natalie Wood is located, directly below my feet. Now, you know, a lot of people talk about, like, don't walk on, there is nowhere else to walk in this cemetery. You have to walk, you know, literally across or on some of these headstones, because this cemetery is so packed. And there it is. Natalie Wood is most famous for being in a movie called Miracle on 34th Street. She was married to Robert Wagner, and supposedly she was having an affair with Christopher Walken. And some people speculate, and prosecutors have looked into it many times about prosecuting Robert Wagner for murder, that they think he threw her off the boat. Nobody knows. No one's ever been prosecuted. But Natalie Wood from Miracle on 34th Street and many other movies. I think she did kind of like a horror-ish kind of movie called Dreamscape. I remember seeing that movie. I think it might have been the last movie she ever made. But there she is, Natalie Wood. Ray Bradbury is buried in here. He is a, famous sci-fi type of writer, and he's buried in here somewhere. Jack Lemmon, Carl Malden, he won an Academy Award. He was also in that movie Patton. We found we didn't find Betty Page. Robert Stack from the TV show, you guys all probably remember him. He was also in that, I think, in that movie Airplane, but he was that Mysteries, Unexplained Mysteries. He hosted that TV show. He's in here. And you know, another person that's in here is Dorothy Stratton. We've got to find that one. Look up Dorothy Stratton, find a grave, Raleigh. That one is one I definitely want to find. If you don't know who Dorothy Stratton is, she was a Playboy model that was extremely famous very quickly. And her husband, in a fit of jealousy, murdered her and then murdered himself. And she tricked her into coming and visit them at the home, and I think he shot her with a shotgun. and then he shot himself. Another person that's in here that I would love to find is Danny Sugarman. He was the Doors, the manager of the Doors. And he's the one who took all the famous photos of the Doors. He's buried in here somewhere. Dorothy Stratton. It says, if people bring so much courage to this world, the world has to kill them to break them. So, of course, it kills them. It kills them, the very good and the very gentle and the very brave and partial. If you are none of these, you can be sure that it will kill you too, but there will be no special hurry. We love you, DR. And you can see she was born in February 28, 1960. I mean, like, if she was alive today, she'd be like 63. She died when she was 20 years old. You can look her up online, Dorothy Stratton. There she is, right there. Somebody has recently left flowers. The Queen of Pinups.
Recently, I was like that.
Betty Page was born April 22nd, 1923, died December 11th, 2008. You know, a lot of the celebrities that I'm talking about, I know a lot about them because I've read all of their stuff online. Because I'm just interested in that kind of stuff. I don't know a lot about Betty Page. I just know that she was a pinup, and she was like one of the first people that was doing a lot of, you know, pictures and negligees and things of this nature. Broke a lot of barriers in that way. When that was seriously frowned upon, that's what she did. So anyway, we wanted to thank you for watching this video. Even though we focus a lot on haunted attractions, I am fascinated. Now that I'm uploading videos to YouTube a lot, I just thought to myself, you know, I'm in Los Angeles. This cemetery is super cool, and I want to do a video and just share my fascination, my interest, and my respect with you guys. And if you're ever in Los Angeles, this is a beautiful place to come and walk and visit, and it's very peaceful, and it is loaded with celebrities. And if you go to find a grave, you can like look and see how many famous people are buried here, but there's a lot. And I had a little list, and by the way, I don't have a cheat sheet or anything like with little notes about them. I just had a list of people I wanted to find, and I found almost all of them except for a couple. That's okay. George C. Scott was one of them. If you don't know, he won an Academy Award for the movie Patton. I like that movie, Patton. It's pretty good. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. And as you can see, somebody was recently just put in the ground here. And you know, there's a lot worse places in the world to be buried than right here. Look at this creepy tree. Is that tree creepy or what? That tree's made for climbing. Even somebody like me might be able to climb that tree. What do you think, Riley?
Maybe.
And well, anyway, we didn't find them all, but we found a lot. And I think it was
one of the first pioneers of the film industry
right here. One of the first pioneers of the film industry, director, producer, and DP in Iran. There is a lot of Jewish people and Muslims buried in this cemetery, along with a lot of celebrities. Unbelievable. Looks like somebody was just interned here recently. Today. And look at all of these. Just to figure out where they're at. Here's one where, you know, they got their picture. I think that's awesome. Roy Orbison, and I'd have to go and look at some people who've made videos. The girl, as you heard, the lady who works here said this is not true. But he's right around here somewhere. He's somewhere right here. And so is Frank Zappa. If you've never heard his, he was an influential artist. And Frank Zappa is famous, to me, his most famous song was Valley Girl. And look at this. We come right back to Kate Coscarelli. Don Coscarelli obviously loved his mother. She has a really beautiful headstone, stone, whatever you want to call it. And there are so many more actors and actresses and famous people and directors. They said that, you know, Wolfgang Peterson is in here, famous director. There's so many people too that have been cremated. But there you go. And we got to literally walk inside this building right here, which is the first. Oh, and look at that, Riley. There's an owl up there.
See that?
Do you see that owl? Can you guys see that owl? Holy cow, look at that. There's a freaking owl sitting guard up there. You see that? That's crazy.
For scary videos and more, subscribe to our YouTube page, Hauntworld.com.